We're going to leave you with a good feel story, as we'd like to say. So many people have come together in the middle of this pandemic to try to reach out and help other people. And there is, for those that live in the Sylvan Lake, Keiko Harbor, West Bloomfield area, which so many of us do, if you're on any of the social media sites, you'll see there is posts going around about the blessing box. What exactly is the blessing box? Well, to talk more about that, let's bring in Louise Bugg with the Spirit of Grace Church, as well as Pastor Peggy Rose. We want to say thank you to the both of you for being with us today.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Pastor, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit more about the Spirit of Grace Church.
Well, Spirit of Grace came into being just about 6 years ago. It was a union of 3 previous churches in the area who had been worshiping together in the same building and finally said, why don't we just join together? So my actual first experience with them was as a visitor at their inaugural service back in May of 2015. And it was just a delightful experience, just one of the most hospitable congregations I've ever met.
So it really does seem like it's a community church.
It is, absolutely, yes. They very much live out the gospel of being one and sharing and loving one another.
So, Pastor, what is your location? Because it's right there by CVS, right?
Yeah, we're right behind CVS at the intersection of Orchard Lake and Middle Belt. Our actual address is 2399 Figa Avenue in West Bloomfield.
Every time you drive by, we know that in years past anyway, there was always some type of event going on, whether it be like a garage sale or something going on to support the community. Are you back in person right now, or are you still doing remote?
Well, we are an Episcopal Lutheran faith community, so we go by the protocols of both the Episcopal Diocese of Michigan and the Southeast Michigan Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. And right now we are not back in person, but we are okayed for outdoor worship. So we celebrated Easter in our parking lot over our FM station. And it was glorious. I mean, even our daffodils bloomed. So it was a fabulous service.
Mother Nature did deliver beautiful weather on Easter.
Indeed.
So, Louise, if we can bring you into the conversation now, tell us more about the blessing box.
Well, the blessing box is a wooden structure built by an Eagle Scout who was a member of our congregation in 2017. And he got this idea. He was searching for a way to make a difference as an Eagle Scout. And he asked members of the congregation for ideas, and they were thinking about a community garden, and eventually they settled on this thing called a blessing box. Somebody had heard about it being done in another state, and it's sort of like a little library. And you may have seen little libraries where people put books, and you can take a book and leave a book. Well, this is, you can take some food or leave some food. And it's outside our church, and he built it with the other scouts in his troop. And I need to give a shout out to Troop 308 from Walled Lake. If it wasn't for them, we would have no blessing box. And if it wasn't for Andrew, we wouldn't. He's now a 4th-year student at Michigan State. So I'm walking outside, and I'm going to see if I can reverse this so you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm going to reverse the zoom here. Can you see it? Oh, I reversed it back to me.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, so it's a rather large structure then.
Yeah, it's wood, and it says blessing box, leave what you can, take what you need. So anybody, we don't ask any questions. Nobody has to sign anything. You can come 24/7 and open it up. I'm going to walk closer and open it up. And we have in here, it's not big. It's not a food pantry. We have 3 shelves, and in there are basic foods that people might want, plus some things like toilet paper, toothpaste, laundry detergent, I don't know how much you can see there.
Right.
And this was an idea because we had learned when we first became Spirit of Grace Church, we looked around the community and we said, how can we help? And we discovered there was some need for food. People wanted to be fed. And I'll tell you one thing we like to do as both Episcopals and Lutherans is eat. And it really resonated with us about giving food to people who needed food. So he built this. It was dedicated in May of 2017. And it was kind of low profile. And we were trying to keep it stocked. More and more people were finding out about it. And so initially, we didn't have as much use. We have a kind of a partnership with the schools, West Bloomfield schools. So we have in that partnership, we have a bus stop in our parking lot, and the bus stop, I'm trying to reverse this back so I can talk to you better.
There you
There
go.
you are.
Oh, I went back.
There it goes again.
I
It's
got
so well stocked, though.
It is.
I am so surprised that it is so well stocked right now.
Well, this morning I came and filled it up because it had been, some things had been depleted in it, and I wanted you to get an idea of the kind of things that are in it. But anyway, we have a bus stop here for the schools, and so this is for schools of choice, and parents come or guardians come and pick up their children, and they can stop and get some food at the same time where they're here getting their kids, or they can walk here and get food, and so this has been going on since 2017, and along came the pandemic. And it really had an impact on us because suddenly the church building was closed, and we were all told we needed to stay home and quarantine. And we were having trouble keeping the box filled, and more people were needing food. And especially in our area, a lot of people worked in restaurants or worked in small businesses, and they were getting laid off. And at one point, we got a call from another organization in the community called the Keego Harbor Jacket Club. And they said, we know all these people who need food. Can you tell us some way we can help them get the food they need?
Oh,
And I said, we sure can. You can
absolutely.
just come and bring the food and put it in the blessing box, and then the people can come and take the food. So pretty soon the word went out on the Keego Harbor newsletter and on Facebook pages, and people in the community started bringing food. People started taking food, and we didn't have to worry that the church building was closed and that our own parishioners had trouble coming here. The community started using it to help each other. And
It really is
was-
a beautiful thing in the middle of a pandemic.
it was amazing. And we didn't know who all was bringing food or who all was taking food, but it was working. One of the things we try to do is monitor it and take out all the food that may be expired, because there are some things that people don't like as much, and we've learned what those things are, and they sit there and then finally they get expired. But so it's turning into something where we've provided this facility to enable the community to help each other. It's gone further than that. Just continuing on that line, the school system, we've worked with them closely over the years, mostly with Roosevelt Elementary School, and they tend to be a school of choice for elementary students here in West Bloomfield. And they heard about it, and in the fall, when they resumed school part-time there, they had half days in the fall, September, they said, we're going to start a food drive to help our families in the school get more food. And then in November, they had to close. The pandemic was bad, they had to close. And the school secretary called me up and she said, we have about 10 or 12 boxes of food we've collected for this fall, and can you use them for your blessing box? And I said, we sure can. And so they came and they brought 10 boxes of food for the blessing box. And we had to figure out what to do with all that food. And we ended up making a separate little storage area in the back of the church to store the food. And we've used the food they gave us in November to help all winter with the families coming to eat, to find food.
It really is a beautiful thing, and how the pandemic is bringing us together. And Pastor, if we could go back to you, we're speaking with Louise Bugg and Pastor Peggy Rose. They're with the Spirit of Grace Church, located there in West Bloomfield. Pastor, if we can bring you back into the conversation. We are, last week was Holy Week. What lessons do you think members of your congregation are taking away from this past year?
Well, I think one of the things is, as Louise spoke, you notice she said that our church building was closed, and it was just the building. I think what we learned is, as the body of Christ, the eyes of Christ that see, the ears that are open to the needs of the community, the hearts that love, and the hands that serve. We have been a serving community of Christ throughout the pandemic, and as following in the steps of God the Creator, we have gotten creative and just found new ways to do that service. One of them being the blessing box, and those wonderful food drives by Roosevelt School, the Jacket Club, so many civic organizations. And so being a church in ministry, not only in the community, but with the community, has been very important. And the other thing that Spirit of Grace does each year is a sit-down meal for Christmas. And we weren't able to do that this Christmas, but we did do 165 meals out the door that people could drive by and pick up in partnership with the Butchery, Kroger, and Thrivent, and other community partners, and a lot of volunteers. So we've become a servant church.
Well, and they say the church is more than the building. It's
Absolutely.
The spirit of the people. And with that, we love being a part of a small community, because it does help spread the word, and people do want to help. And with that, I know that you've done a lot of online ministry as well throughout the pandemic. So many people, we've all gone online, and we've learned about Zoom. A year ago, when someone said Zoom, I was like, what? Do you think some of that will stick around once we get on the backside of this pandemic?
Yes, I think the virtual church is here to stay, and that is another new ministry that started, is our tech team. And we are equipping ourselves to continue to do live stream worship even when we get back in person. So that will be an ongoing ministry.
Just about another minute here with you, both on the MegaCast. Louise, if people want to donate to the Blessing Box, are there some items that you need more than others?
Wow, that's a really good segue. I wanted to show you, if I can do this again.
There you go. Oh my goodness gracious.
This is the latest food drive from the school. You'll see there's things that say food drive, and we are currently sorting out all this food that they got us, and we have this shelving here with the food in it that we're sorting. So right now we're doing quite well on the basic canned items. As you can see, the Blessing Box is not a refrigerator, so we can't keep anything that's perishable. It has to be all things that are shelf stable. But there are some treats and things that we don't get donated often. Things that people like ingredients for making tacos, or cans of coffee, instant coffee, or toilet paper, or soap, laundry detergent, things that go more into household items. But right now, I tell you, we have enough canned food here to last us quite a while. But if anybody wants to bring something, they can just bring it and put it right in the Blessing Box and leave it there, or they can leave a box outside of it, and we'll pick it up and put it into our inventory. And it's very much appreciated, anything. But we'd really like to get the word out to people who might be needing food, and we're anticipating there'll be more need as before this pandemic is over.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the both of you. We are out of time now. But again, Spirit of Grace Church, located in West Bloomfield.